Hello everyone, welcome to our video tutorial about freezing worksheet pens. In this tutorial, you're going to learn how to lock the rows and the columns that are in your worksheet. So to follow this tutorial, you can pause this video and type some content of this kind in your worksheet. When you decide to lock a row or a column, it means that the locked row or the locked column will remain visible as you scroll. For instance, if you decide to lock this row for the column headings, it means that as the rest of the rows are moving, this row will remain visible or it will remain frozen. Then if it is the column, that is the same thing that will happen. The rest of these columns will be moving, but this one will remain visible. What I'm trying to say is this: at the moment, if we try to scroll, we shall see all these rows moving. So I'm going to use this vertical scroll bar. So as I'm scrolling, we can see everything moving. If I take back, we can see everything moving. But when we lock this row, it means the rest will move, but this row will remain there. So to do this or to freeze a row, what we do is to select a row below. So we want to freeze this or to lock this row so that it remains visible. So what we do, we shall click on row 2. When we click on row 2, we shall go to the view tab. So when we click the view tab, we shall go under this window group. Our interest is the freeze pen option. So we click on freeze pen option. From the freeze pen option, we have 3 options, but we are interested on this first one. So we shall click this first option so that this first row is frozen or locked. So we can click on it. After clicking, let's click again in our worksheet anywhere. So how do I know that a row is locked? Just by a mere look. A locked row will always have a thin line underneath. For instance, if you look at this line, so this shows that this upper row is locked. So when you try to scroll, you can see that row is there and it is visible and not moving. If we take back up, it is the unlocked rows that will keep on moving. So that is how we can freeze the row or to lock the row. If we want to unlock it, that means we shall go back again to the view tab without selecting anywhere. Then we go to the freeze pens option. We click on it. Then we shall select this first option for unfreeze pens to unlock the rows. So we click on it. When we click on it, we can see the other thin line has now gone off. So now we can scroll again to see whether this one is unlocked. So to do that, we shall use this vertical scroll bar. So when you click, you can see our row has now moved. So that means this row is no longer locked. So that is how we can freeze the row. If we want to freeze a number of rows, for instance, we want to freeze from row 1 up to row 5. This means that we are going to select this last row down here. Because we would like to freeze from row 1 up to row 5, then we have to select this row below, the ones we want to freeze or to lock. So after selecting, still we shall go back to view. Then from view, we go to freeze pens. We click, then we shall click on this option for freeze pens. So we click on it. Then after we can click in our worksheet, we shall again see that thin line drawn below the frozen rows. If we try to scroll, you can see our 5 rows are not moving. They remain visible. Reason, they are locked. If we go back, then we can see they are still there. So to unlock them, we shall still go back to the View tab, then Freeze Panes option, click on it, then we just click on Unfreeze Panes. When we click on it, then the other thin line will move away. Even when you scroll, everything will move. Then with the columns can also be frozen. So if you would like to freeze or to lock this column for name, then we shall select a column to the right of that column you would like to freeze or to lock. So since we want to freeze this column or to lock this column A, we select column B. After selecting, we shall go to the View tab, then Freeze Pane option, then we shall click on Freeze Panes. When we click on it, so let's check, we click inside our worksheet, we can see now the thin line also drawn, indicating that our column to the left is frozen. So to check that, we shall use this horizontal scroll bar. We click to see that as these ones are moving, this column will remain visible. So we move, then we click. So you can see our column A remains visible while the rest are moving. So that's how we can freeze or lock a column. You select a column to the right of the one you would like to freeze or to lock. Then to unlock the columns, still we do the same. We shall go to the View tab, then under the Freeze option, we shall click on Unfreeze Panes. When we click on it, we can see the thin line off. If we try to scroll, we see everything moving. If we can take back, then we bring all the columns. If we want these 2 columns to be frozen or to be locked, then we shall select this column for amount total. So we click on it, then we go to View, then Freeze Pane option, then we shall say Freeze Panes. When we click on it and click inside our worksheet, we can see still again the thin line drawn for us. If we try to check whether they are really frozen, you can even see that they are frozen. So that's how we can lock a number of columns that are in our worksheet. To unlock, we go back to View, then Freeze Pane option, then we unfreeze. So we can see everything is again displayed for us. Even the thin line has been removed. If you decide to select only a row, for instance, and then you go to View, then Freeze Panes, and you say Freeze Top Row, that means you don't need now to select the down arrow. You will automatically freeze this upper row. If I click aside, we can see the line drawn. So if you select directly on the row, that means you will go to the option for Freeze Top Row or Freeze First Column. That is if you have selected only a column, for example for name. So when we click on it, then we shall go to Freeze Pane option. Then this time we shall just go direct and we say Freeze First Column because it's the column which is selected. So we click on it. So when we click on it, we can see the line drawn. If you try to scroll to check, you can see that that first column is frozen. To unfreeze it, we follow the same procedure of going to the View tab, then Freeze Panes, then unfreeze, then that column will be unlocked. So with this Freeze Pane option helps us when we have a lot of data in the worksheet and you would like to read them when there are these column headings in them. So we can continue trying to make the reading of our contents in the worksheet easy by the use of this freeze pen option. Hope you found this video tutorial useful to you. That's it for now. See you in our next tutorial.